Zira stood at the edge of the long line, holding her sleeping baby close to her chest. Cold wind blew through the crowded street. Her feet were tired, her body weak. But she stayed in the line anyway, just like she had for the past 12 days. The line moved forward slowly. One by one, alien workers stepped forward to be scanned by the job drones. If they were accepted, they were taken inside. If not, the light turned red and they were pushed aside. Zara stepped forward. Her baby coughed weakly in her arms, a shiny drone hovered over her. It scanned her face, then her baby. The light flashed red. Rejected, the drone spoke with no emotion, reason, single parent, dependent child. Low physical strength. No guild rank. Zira bowed her head and stepped aside. No one looked at her. No one offered help. In this part of the alien city, single mothers were considered useless. No one wanted to hire a worker who came with a baby. No company wanted to waste resources on someone too weak to carry tools. Zara had tried everything. She once worked as a tech assistant before giving birth. But when her partner left her and she had the baby alone, everything changed. Her name was removed from the job list. Her qualifications were deleted from the system. She was now labeled as unfit. She walked down the icy street, holding her baby tighter. The little one was getting thinner. Milk was hard to find. Blankets were expensive. She had already sold her necklace and the last piece of metal from her toolkit. All she had now was her pre-dand that was breaking too. As she passed a broken neon sign that said Repair Zone, she noticed someone inside the shop watching her. A human man. He stood behind the dusty glass, arms crossed, wearing an old brown jacket. His face was hard to read, but his eyes didn't carry the same disgust she saw in the others. He didn't look away when she passed. In fact, he followed her movement with quiet focus. Zara looked down and kept walking. For 3 more days, she tried the same job line. And every day, she was rejected. The baby cried louder each time. Its body was burning with fever now. That evening, as snow began to fall, she sat down near a trash vent. She pulled her coat over her child, hoping the heat from the vent would warm them both. Her baby whimpered again. This time, the sound was different, weak and fading. Tears ran down Zira's cheeks as she whispered, "Just hold on, my little star, please." Footsteps approached. She wiped her face quickly, expecting a guard to tell her to move. But it was him. The human man. He stood quietly in front of her, holding a steaming cup of liquid. Without saying a word, he knelt down and handed it to her. "Warm broth," he said in a calm voice, "for the kid." Zara looked at him, confused. "Why? You've been standing outside my shop every day?" "I've been watching." She looked away, feeling ashamed. "I'm not begging." "I know," the man said. "It's why I'm offering a job, not charity." Zara blinked. "You'll clean the shop, sweep the floor. That's it. 1 meal per day, plus shelter for the night. You'll be paid in credits, too." Zara didn't move. She couldn't believe it. "You don't even know me," she whispered. "I don't need to," he replied, standing up. "But I know a worker when I see one. You've got fire in your eyes, even if the world's tried to put it out." He turned to leave. "Come if you want, or don't. But I won't ask again." Zara looked down at her baby, who had now fallen into deep, quiet sleep. Her hands were shaking as she sipped the broth. It was the first warm thing she had tasted in weeks. She stood up slowly and followed him. The human's name was Ethan. His shop was old, filled with dusty machines, broken tech panels, and tools that hadn't been used in years. He pointed to the broom. "Start there," he said. "You'll sleep in the back." Zia picked up the broom, her fingers stiff and frozen. Her body ached. But her baby was already sleeping peacefully on a padded bench nearby, something softer than street stone. For the first time in months, She swept. She scrubbed. She didn't speak, and Ethan watched silently from his workbench. That night, Zara wrapped her child in a warm towel. For the first time in months, she cried not from fear, but from relief. Outside, the city lights flickered in. Cold silence. Inside, something had changed. A door had opened. A human had noticed, and for the first time, the universe had whispered hope into a forgotten mother's ears. Zara stood in the corner of the small workshop, broom in hand, as early morning light passed through the cracked ceiling vents. The baby was wrapped in soft cloth, sleeping on a folded jacket Ethan had silently placed under her head the night before. Zara had not spoken much. She didn't trust kindness anymore. It always came with a price. But this human? He didn't ask questions. He didn't stare. He just worked on machines and expected her to do the same with the dust. The floor was thick with grime. The corners had spider bots nesting inside them. Old wires, broken panels, rusted gears, all left to decay. Zara swept slowly, carefully. Her legs still hurt from weeks of standing in job lines, and her arms were weak from hunger, but her hands moved with purpose. Ethan occasionally glanced at her. He didn't smile. He didn't frown either. He simply let her work, like she was just another part of the shop. For Zara, that was more dignity than she had known in years. By noon, the air inside felt cleaner. Zara had found a small bucket, mixed in leftover cleaning gel, and wiped down the main table. Her hands smelled of oil and old chemicals, but it reminded her of the past tub when she used to work on tech panels. Before becoming invisible to society, when Ethan walked out from the back room, he looked around the freshly swept floor and nodded once. "You know how to work," he said simply. Zara lowered her eyes, unsure how to reply. He placed a plate on the table. Half a sandwich, some warm broth, and a small bottle of infant formula. She stared at it. "For me." "For both of you," he said, already walking away. "Eat, then clean the drone rack." Zara blinked, still frozen. She had been offered pity before, but never this. This was different. It was respect, wrapped inside responsibility. She picked up the plate and fed the child first. The baby drank the formula slowly, making soft, happy sounds. Zara bit into the sandwich. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't rich, but it was the best thing she'd tasted in months. Tears silently slipped down her cheek. Outside the shop, alien neighbors walked by. Some paused and stared inside. "Is that the single mother?" One alien whispered. "She's working for a human." Another scoffed. "How low she's fallen." Zara heard them. Her ears twitched, but she didn't react. She had work to do. When she opened the drone rack, she found small mechanical cleaning drones, dusty and broken. One had a loose circuit panel. Another's leg was missing. Zara's instincts kicked in. She reached for her tools, but she had none. Instead, she found a flat screwdriver under the bench and began working. Her hands moved fast and steady, even though she hadn't repaired a drone in years. She removed the corroded parts, rewired the leg servo, and soldered a cracked panel using the shop's micro-dash torch. She didn't notice Ethan standing in the corner, watching. When she finally finished, the drone blinked. Its eyes lit green. Gasped quietly, surprised it worked on the first try. Ethan walked over. "You fix drones too." Zara quickly stood up. I didn't mean to touch." Ethan shook his head. "You just did in 10 minutes what I couldn't do in 2 days." Zara blinked. "From now on," he said, "you fix small bots during the day. Clean later." Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came. She simply nodded. That night, Zara sat beside her baby on a sleeping mat. The shop was dark, except for a small overhead lamp near Ethan's bench. She watched him work carefully, skillfully, with focus. He didn't seem rich. His tools were old, his clothes worn. But he had something she hadn't seen in any employer. Honor. Why me? She finally asked. Ethan didn't look up. Because no one else did. That's not a reason. He put down his tool, then looked straight at her. You didn't ask for help. You just kept standing. She stayed silent. That matters to me, he said. The next day, she wore her hair tied up, ready to work. She greeted Ethan quietly and went straight to the workbench. She didn't ask for food. She didn't ask for money. She simply worked. Ethan handed her a small credit chip that evening. You earned this. Zara stared at the chip. Just 2 days ago, she had been eating trash and sleeping in alleys. Now she had credits and a place. Outside, aliens continued to whisper. She's the human's pet now. Someone sneered. Wait till the inspectors find out another. Chuckled. Zera heard them again, but now something had changed. She didn't feel shame. She felt fire in her chest. Let them talk. She had value now, and no one could take that away, not again. The next morning, Zera arrived at the workbench before Ethan did. Her baby was bundled warmly on the padded bench nearby, sucking on a soft bottle of formula Ethan had left for her again. The shop smelled like soldering metal and old wires, but to her, it smelled like dignity. She had earned credits. She had fixed something. She mattered again. Zera looked through the broken drones stacked in the back corner. Most of them were discarded scraps, burned circuits, cracked lenses, corroded parts. She touched each one like an old friend. Her fingers were calloused, but precise. Her eyes scanned each wire with focus. For a long time, she had been afraid to feel useful. Now, she couldn't stop. Ethan walked in while adjusting his tool belt. He raised his brow when he saw 3 drones neatly repaired, their green lights blinking softly in standby mode. You did all that? He asked. Zera gave a small nod. Last night, after you slept. You don't sleep, she shrugged. Only when my child lets me. Ethan gave a dry chuckle and handed her a warm drink. You're full of surprises. About what happened? Next would surprise even him. In the back of the workshop was an old alien fusion core, covered in dust. Ethan had picked it up cheap from a wrecked freighter years ago. He had tried to repair it once, but the energy flow was unstable, and the alien wiring didn't match any human system. So it sat there dead, rusting, useless. Until Zera saw it. She approached the core, eyes narrowing as she ran her hand across its cracked shell. A strange pattern was etched into the metal alien writing, but familiar. Her grandmother used to work in a shipyard before she died. Zera had watched her fix cores just like this. Without asking, she pulled open the back panel. Hey, careful. With that, Ethan said, stepping forward. It's safe, Zera replied, her voice calm. The flow seal is broken. That's why it failed. You know that just by looking. Zera didn't answer. She was already inside the panel, moving wires, adjusting the coolant tube, replacing a melted diode with a piece from one of the dead drones. For 20 minutes, she worked in silence. Ethan watched, arms crossed, stunned, then dash with a soft hum. The fusion core lit up. Its glow filled the shop like a pulse of life. Zera stepped back, breathing hard. It's working, but keep the output low until it stabilizes. Ethan stared at the core, then back at her. You just fixed something I've been trying to repair for 3 years. Zera looked down. It wasn't hard. You had most of it right. Ethan walked to the panel and touched it. You're not just a cleaner or drone tech, he said slowly. You're an engineer. Zera hesitated. I used to be. Before? Everything. Later that evening, Ethan handed her a new badge with her name on it. Zera, lead tech assistant. She stared at it. You don't have to give me this, she said. I'm not giving it, Ethan said. You earned it. You're not a guest. Here, you're part of the shop now. Zira swallowed hard. No alien employer had ever said those words to her. Not even before she became a mother, but Ethan. This quiet human with rough hands and old tools was treating her like someone equal. She clutched the badge and nodded. Thank you. Word began to spread across the street. Did you hear? That single mother fixed an alien core. Impossible. She's not even guild-trained. No, seriously, she turned it on. The humans using it to power the shop. Some aliens laughed. Others frowned. A few grew angry in their eyes. Zira had broken the invisible rule. Know your place. Stay there. And she didn't. That night, as Zira prepared a simple dinner in the shop's back room, Ethan sat across from her, sipping warm tea. Where did you learn all that? He asked. My grandmother, she said softly. She taught me everything. I used to help her repair engines. But after she died, I had to marry early. I thought I could still work. But once I got pregnant, no one would even let me near her. Lab Ethan looked at her in disbelief. So they just erased you? They said motherhood made me slow, she said with a bitter smile. They said my loyalty would be to the child, not the company. Ethan leaned forward. Your loyalty isn't the problem. Their fear is. Zira looked up, confused. Fear? Yeah, Ethan said. You're better than they ever expected. That's what scares them. Zira felt something strange in her chest, something warm, like fire and hope mixing together. Later, after cleaning up, she sat beside her sleeping baby and looked at her new badge again. Lead tech assistant. For so long, she had been told she was nothing. Now in this small human shop, she was becoming someone again. Asterisk the fusion core glowed steady blue now, powering every corner of Ethan's repair shop. Lights no longer flickered. Machines started without stuttering. The place finally felt alive, and Zara, once a shivering mother begging for work now, stood beside Ethan at the workbench, carefully repairing a satellite relay while her baby napped peacefully on a heated pad. But not everyone was happy. The gossip outside had grown louder. Some aliens walked past the shop just to glare. A few even threw trash near the doorway. Zara ignored them. She had learned to stay quiet, stay focused. But one day, that silence was shattered. A buzzing sound filled the air. Zara looked up from her work and froze. Two large inspection drones hovered outside the door, painted black and gold. Behind them stood a tall, horned alien officer, an enforcer of the local labor guild. His eyes were cold, and his robes shimmered with power. The badge on his chest marked him as Level 5 enforcement. Ethan came out from the back. We expecting visitors? He asked. No, Zara whispered, her hands trembling. The officer stepped inside without permission. I am Inspector Thal of the Central Workforce Bureau, he announced, scanning the shop with a narrow glare. This facility has been flagged for unauthorized labor activity. Zara stood still. Thal's eyes locked onto her. That one, he pointed. She is not registered under the current work codes. Explain yourself, human. Ethan didn't blink. She's my assistant. She is a single alien mother, Thal spat. Not a legal worker. She's fixing machines better than anyone I've hired, Ethan replied calmly. Her guild rank is 0, the inspector snapped. Her work is not protected under any contract, and your shop has no license to employ her. She's not a slave, Ethan said sharply. She gets paid. She works freely. Then you are breaking 3 labor laws, Thal said, tapping his wrist pad. Fines will be issued. Your shop may be shut down. Zira finally spoke, voice shaking. I only clean. That's all. Thal turned to her, sneering. You clean and fix fusion cores now? Zira's eyes widened. He knew. Someone had reported her. Thal stepped forward. "You're setting a dangerous example, Zira of Orthene. You've already caused unrest. Other single females may think they too can skip the system. We cannot allow that." Zira tried to speak, but Ethan stepped between them. "She didn't skip the system," he said. "The system dumped her. I just picked her up." Thal narrowed his eyes. "You humans always play the savior." "Only when aliens fail to act like people," Ethan replied coldly. The drones moved in closer, scanning both of them. Thal tapped his pad again. "You have 1 week to either remove her from your staff or provide full citizenship work clearance. If not, I'll shut this place down myself." He turned and walked out, his cloak swirling behind him. The drones followed. The door closed. Zira sat down slowly. Her hands were still shaking. "I ruined everything," she said in a whisper. Ethan crouched beside her. "No, you didn't. They'll shut your shop down. You'll lose everything." He gave her a tired smile. "This shop has been one breath from collapse for years. You brought it back to life." Zira looked away, ashamed. "I can leave," she said quietly. "Take my baby. Go somewhere else. Sleep in the alley again if I have to." "No," Ethan cut in. "You're not going back there." That night, someone threw a rock through the shop window. The glass shattered. Zira rushed forward and gasped. Written on the wall outside in red spray was a message. "Human trash plus single mother equals collapse." Ethan calmly boarded up the window. Zira watched from the corner, clutching her child. She had never seen Ethan angry. But now, something was different. In his eyes, not rage, but resolve. He turned to her. "We're going to fix this. Together." Over the next 2 days, Ethan went to work on the paperwork. It was difficult. The system didn't allow humans to sponsor alien workers without huge fees. And Zira's records had been erased from official logs after her child was born. Still, Ethan didn't stop. Meanwhile, Zira stayed inside, afraid to even look out the window. Every noise outside made her flinch. Her child, too, had started crying more. "I shouldn't have fixed that fusion core," she whispered once. "You should have," Ethan said, "because no one else could." On the 4th night, a group of masked aliens banged on the door, shouting threats. Ethan turned on the security field he had been building for weeks. Electricity sparked across the frame, and the gang ran off. "Zira," Ethan said after checking the door, "this isn't just about you being a mother. This is about you being better than them. That's why they're scared." "But I don't want to fight anyone," she said. "You already did," Ethan replied. "You just haven't realized it yet." That night, while the child slept, Zira looked at the broken glass still scattered on the shop floor. She picked up a broom and began to sweep. Because tomorrow, the fight would continue. But tonight, she still had work to do. The sun rose over the alien city with a gray, cold light. The street outside Ethan's repair shop looked calm, but Zira knew better. It was the kind of silence that came before a storm. Inside, the shop was different now. The broken window had been sealed with metal plating. A new security drone hovered silently near the ceiling, tracking every movement outside. The front door was reinforced, and the walls were lined with new panels Sarah had helped install. Everyone. She wasn't just working anymore. She was defending her place. Ethan walked in with 2 cups of hot synth tea, handing one to Zira. He looked tired. His eyes were heavy, and there were new burns on his gloves. He had stayed up all night running cables, rewiring the shop systems, and modifying the security grid. Zara had helped him soldering wires while her baby slept wrapped in blankets near the heating core. "You could still walk away," Ethan said quietly, sipping his tea. "Before it gets worse," Zara shook her head. "If I leave now, they win. And everything you gave me, It disappears. Ethan smiled faintly. Didn't give you anything. You earned it. Later that morning, a customer came in. A short, alien trader with orange skin and a robotic tail. He dropped a broken scanner on the counter and said, I heard you fix fusion systems. Heard you got a single mother doing high-level repairs. That true? Zara froze behind the workbench. Ethan looked at him calmly. Yeah, that's true. The alien whistled. Then I'm in the right place. He placed 3 more broken devices on the table. Fix all of them. I'll pay double, he said. Don't care who does the work, just want results. Zara stepped forward. Ethan handed her a toolkit. You heard him. Word began to spread again, but this time, it wasn't just whispers of hate. It was whispers of respect. She's working on real tech now. That shop runs better than before. I don't like humans, but that mother, she's good. Still, not everyone was happy. On the 3rd day, 2 enforcer drones returned. This time without Inspector Thal. They scanned the shop silently and left a small red notice on the door. Final warning, illegal labor will result in seizure. Zara stared at the paper. Ethan tore it down without saying a word. That night, it finally happened. The shop's security system buzzed. The outside motion sensors picked up figures in the shadows. Zara grabbed her baby and moved to the safe room. Ethan checked the monitors. 3 masked aliens. Carrying metal rods. Moving fast. 3rd time this week, Ethan muttered, flipping switches on the console. But this time, Zara didn't stay hidden. She came back out, placed her child in a secure crib, and stood beside Ethan. What are you doing? He asked. Fighting back, she said. Ethan handed her a panel controller. You're sure? She nodded. He smirked. Good. Let's make them regret it. The first alien smashed a bottle against the front shield. The others followed, pounding on the metal door with rods. Zara activated the perimeter shock grid. A blue pulse surged through the outer wall. One of the attackers screamed and stumbled back. Stunned, Ethan opened the speaker mic. This is private property. You're being recorded. Leave now or get hurt. One attacker pulled out a spark grenade and threw it. It bounced off the reinforced door and exploded, mid-air, harmless. Zara pressed another button. A ceiling-mounted drone dropped out and flashed a blinding warning light. Then fired a non-lethal shock at the feet of the attackers. They screamed and ran. Inside the shop, silence returned. Zara's heart was racing. Her hands shook. But this time, she wasn't scared. She turned to Ethan, breathing hard. I think I hate being afraid, she said. Then stop being afraid, he replied. You've got more courage than anyone I know. Zara looked at her sleeping baby, still safe in the warm crib. Why do they hate me so much? She whispered. Ethan shrugged. Because you survived what was meant to break you. Because you're not just standing anymore, you're rising. The next day, the same alien trader returned. He brought a friend, and that friend brought another soon. The shop was buzzing with work. Zara led the tech bench while Ethan handled customers. The credits came in fast, and even local bots came for repairs. At one point, a young alien mother peeked in shyly. She looked at Zara and whispered, Do you teach others? Zara blinked. You want to learn? The young woman nodded. Zera glanced at Ethan. He gave her a knowing nod. Then yes, Zara said. I can teach. By evening, Zara sat by the workbench holding her baby, who giggled and reached for her cheek. She kissed the little forehead gently. She wasn't hiding anymore. She wasn't apologizing anymore. She had stood her ground, and, for the first time, she was winning. The workshop was alive with energy. Tools buzzed, bots blinked, and customers came and went. Zara's hands moved quickly over the open casing of a drone sensor array. Her movements were confident now. Her shoulders no longer hunched. She had purpose. She had pride, but even pride couldn't stop a sudden cry that shattered her. Focused at her baby. It wasn't the usual fussing. This cry was sharp panicked. Zara spun around so fast she dropped her tool. The child's face was flushed a deep blue an alien sign of distress. She rushed over and scooped the baby into her arms. The child's breathing was uneven. Its limbs were twitching. "Ethan!" She cried out. Ethan came running from the storage room and froze when he saw the baby. "What happened?" "I don't know," Zara said, voice shaking. She was fine. "This morning she's burning up." He placed a hand gently on the baby's forehead and frowned. "That's not normal heat," he muttered. "We need help." They rushed out of the shop, Zara holding her child close to her chest, whispering softly, "Hold on, my little light. Just hold on." Ethan flagged down a transport and jumped in beside her. "We'll take her to the closest medunit." When they arrived at the Alien Run clinic, the front bot scanned Zara's ID and instantly glowed red. "Unregistered, no medical credit," the bot said. Zera pleaded. "She's just a baby. Please." A taller alien nurse walked out and crossed her arms. "She's not on the care roster. The child is a dependent of a blacklisted worker." "What blacklist?" Ethan snapped. "The labor boards," the nurse replied coldly. "She broke work regulations. Now she's off the grid." "She's dying," Zara screamed. But the doors closed. Ethan's jaw tightened. He grabbed Zara's wrist. "Come on. Where are we going?" "To someone who still sees a child as a child." 15 minutes later, they entered an older section of the city, a place most aliens avoided. The buildings were low, rusted, and marked with graffiti. "This place," Zara whispered. "It's human territory." "Mostly," Ethan replied. "And some of us still believe in basic kindness." They entered a small, unmarked building. Inside was a modest clinic, old machines, flickering lights, and a woman in a wrinkled coat. She looked up from her desk and raised an eyebrow. "Ethan, you finally break your ribs again?" "Not me," he said. "It's the kid." The woman stood instantly when she saw Zara holding the baby. "Put her here," she said, guiding them to a table. She ran a scan, her face tightening with concern. "She's in immune shock," the woman said. "Some toxin, probably from the atmosphere. Her body's too young to fight it." "You treat her?" Zara asked, voice trembling. "Yes," the doctor said firmly. "But I need to act fast." Zara stood back, tears in her eyes as machines hummed and a healing pod surrounded her child. The blue flush on the baby's face slowly faded as the pod worked. "She's responding," the doctor finally said. "She's going to be okay." Zara dropped to her knees, covering her face with her hands. Relief crashed over her like a wave. Ethan knelt beside her. "She's safe now." "I don't know how to thank you," Zara whispered. "You gave her a chance when even my own kind wouldn't." "I'm not a hero," Ethan said. "I just didn't walk away." "But that's what makes you different," she said, looking at him through teary eyes. The doctor looked up. "She'll need to rest here for a few hours. You to go eat something. You look half dead." Zara hesitated, not wanting to leave her child. "I'll stay," Ethan said. "You need to breathe." Zara nodded. She stepped outside and sat on a bench near the entrance. The sky above was gray, and the city buzzed around her. She stared at her hands, shaking, scarred, but strong. She remembered how she used to hide in alleys, holding her child under layers of torn cloth. How she used to be invisible. Now she was someone. Someone who mattered. Back inside, Ethan sat beside the pod, watching the small chest rise and fall. His eyes were heavy. He hadn't told Zara, But he had used up all his savings to pay for the emergency care. He didn't care. He'd do it again. Hours later, the child opened her eyes. She looked around groggily and reached out. Zara was already there, pulling her. Into her arms, the baby giggled weakly, pressing her face into her mother's neck. Ethan stood nearby, smiling softly. "She'll recover," the doctor said. "But slowly, keep her away from heavy tech fumes for a while." Zara nodded. "Thank you, truly." As they left the clinic, Zara looked up at the taller man beside her. "Why do you keep helping me?" Ethan shrugged. "Because no one ever helped me, and I know what it feels like." Zara smiled, a soft one. "Then maybe you saved both of us." That night, back in the shop, Zira laid her baby in the warm crib and sat beside Ethan on the bench near the glowing fusion core. She looked at him and whispered, "You gave me work, shelter, safety, and now you gave my daughter her life." Ethan didn't speak for a moment. Then he said, "You're the strongest person I've ever met." Zara looked down. "I don't feel strong." "You are," he said firmly. "Strength isn't in muscles. It's in how many times you get up when life knocks you down." Zara placed her hand over her baby's chest, and she knew this wasn't just about survival anymore. This was the beginning of something greater. Zera wiped her hands with a cloth and adjusted her tool belt. A sharp scent of coolant filled the air, mixed with the low hum of machines running smoothly. The workshop had changed. It wasn't just a dusty repair shop anymore. It was alive, full of energy, movement, and quiet hope. Outside, a line had formed. Not for free food or pity, but for repairs. Customers alien and human waited patiently. Some were even mothers holding younglings. They came here because word had spread. This shop did honest work, fast repairs. And it was run by someone who had once been thrown away by society. Zera. Inside, Ethan worked on a circuit board while Zera finished reassembling a customer's mapping drone. Her child sat in a play corner nearby, playing with soft wires and blinking lights under the warm eye of a custom-made babysitter Zera herself had built. A soft chime rang at the door. Zera looked up. The customer entering wore a sleek gray suit and had a glowing company badge clipped to his chest. He was a tall alien from a respected tech company. His eyes scanned the shop with interest. "I'm looking for the technician who repaired an ancient fusion core and optimized 3 drone units beyond factory specs," he said. Ethan gestured toward Zera. "You found her." The man blinked. Surprised her, Zera stood calmly, wiping her hands. "Yes, I did those repairs." The man stepped closer, examining the drones lined on the shelf. "Impressive work. We've been looking for a systems engineer. Your name came up. We'd like to offer you a position." Zera was silent for a moment. Then she shook her head politely. "Thank you, but no." The man blinked. "May I ask why?" Zera smiled. "Because I already have a job and a team." After he left, Ethan gave her a look. "You just turned down the biggest company on the planet." "I don't need to climb their tower," Zera said, walking back to the workbench. "I'm already standing tall here." Ethan chuckled. "I should have expected that." Days passed. Zera's baby grew stronger each day, laughing more and crying less. The crib had been replaced by a soft nest of blankets and toys beside Zera's workstation. She wasn't just a worker anymore. She was a partner. One quiet afternoon, the door swung open and in walked Inspector Thal. Zera froze for a second. Ethan stood, calm but alert. "We're still under the 1-week grace period." "I know," Thal said, glancing around. "That's not why I'm here." He stepped closer, eyes scanning the shop's clean floors, functioning machines, and the crowd of customers waiting outside. "I've received reports," he continued. Your shop has become unusually productive and stable. Thanks to her, Ethan said, nodding at Zara. Thal looked at her, long and hard. I also received a letter, he said. From your first few clients, they're all requesting that your worker status be fully recognized and registered. Zara blinked. What? They say you've done more for this district's tech health than any licensed guild engineer in the last year, he said. And they've added their names to a petition. Ethan smirked. That's a lot of noise for one unqualified mother. Thal cleared his throat. Whether the first like it or not. The system listens to volume. Your work permit has been approved. As of today, Zara of Orthene is officially recognized as a free laborer with independent status. Zara stood there in shock. Thal held out a thin silver badge and placed it gently on the counter. Your name is no longer erased, he said quietly. Then he turned to leave. No threats, no lectures, just silence. Later, Zara sat by the window, holding the silver badge in her hands. Her baby rested quietly beside her, fingers curled around Zara's tool pouch. You did it, Ethan said from the doorway. No, she said softly. We did it. He walked closer and sat beside her. You saved this shop, he said. You saved yourself. And you gave that kid a future. Zara turned to him. You gave me the first chance. When no one else would even look at me. Ethan smiled. Sometimes, all someone needs is one person to say, I see you. She looked down, then back up. And now, I see you too. Weeks later, the shop had expanded. New stations, more drones. A corner turned into a small learning hub where Zara taught other abandoned women how to repair machines. Ethan helped build the tables and installed the leading. They weren't just fixing things anymore. They were rebuilding lives. And sometimes, when new customers came in and stared at the small child sitting beside the repair bench, Zara would simply say, she belongs here, just like me. Because once, no alien wanted to hire her. Once, she was forgotten, rejected, unseen, but now, she was needed. She was trusted. She was free.